back to that market talk, Chris.
Speak to that.
Well, honestly, the market is still doing poorly overall, although there are pockets of things that are doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a pretty clear shift to vintage and pre-war cards dominating the headlines.
Yep.
And you're not seeing Patrick Mahomes, Luka Doncic, LeBron, Steph Curry. You're just not seeing these names break into $1 million sales anymore. Instead, you're seeing Honus Wagner, Mickey Mantle, Roberto Clemente. These are the names of the players that you're seeing have headline sales right now. There's definitely been a shift to vintage and pre-war dominating, and I wonder what you guys think about that.
So here's the thing. A couple months ago, about 6 months ago, I kept seeing from like content guys like, hey, we're going to start seeing the push with vintage because it's the safest place around. I don't think it needed a push from anybody influence-wise. I think this was the natural progression of, okay, I got burned on new stuff. Old stuff, even if I set a new comp, which right now we're not setting new comps anyways, but even if I do, I guess to put in perspective, I feel better about the Willie Mays rookie I have in my block box than I do about the LeBrons in there. I overpaid for all of them. They are all down equally. Like I bought the Mays PSA 6 51 Bowman for $40,000. It's probably worth 20, but I have LeBrons in there. I paid 10 and they're worth 3 or 4. In my head, I can justify it though. But yeah, Willie Mays, not around much longer, still solidified all-time great. That's a crazy old vintage card. I think that was just going to be the natural progression of, hey, we're going vintage because it's safer, and even when it's not safe, it's going to rebound.
So that's a great point. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say, honestly, the vintage thing, when we took on a sponsorship with PWCC, and so we've been going through their auctions each week, and all I see, well, it's not all, but a good chunk of what I see is vintage. And then I started seeing like not only vintage selling at some of the highest prices, but it's also like all grades, all sport, all non-sport. It's like everything old seems to be selling really, really well. And at this point in time, I'm like, we keep seeing a flow, a natural progression of people are in the market, people are out. That, new stuff's hot, new stuff's not. Vintage is hot, vintage is out. I think we are just back to that cycle of, yes, exactly. We're back to the point where vintage is in again because, to Mike's point, maybe they've seen their newer stuff not perform as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. So in here to work in a little promotion for the card letter sales history tool, if I simply go to that tool,
there we go,
and I type in, I set the parameter to be this year only, all right, and then I sort from highest price to lowest price. Here are the top 5 highest selling sports cards from the year 2023.
Oh, hang on a second now. Hang on a second here.
From this
year.
Right.
This is the game.
Top. Ooh.
This is.
Well, I have a different game.
Oh, he's got a different game
too.
Got to be a Mantle in there.
Bingo. Mantle is the highest selling card in SGC 9 for $4.5 million. That's number 1.
What was the date on that? Was that like March?
Different player for number 2.
Give me Honus.
Bingo. Honus Wagner.
Oh.
T206.
This isn't the
$2
game.
million.
This is not the game.
All right.
This doesn't count.
Number 3, another new player.
Oh, another new.
They got to all be vintage baseball though, correct?
So far, yes.
So far, yes, that would be correct. Does not mean. Another Willie Mays. Yep. Is there a Willie Mays in there?
No Willie Mays.
Really?
Willie don't have that kind of market. You have to have like a set. You know what I mean? Like he's a
But I mean, who else then in baseball?
Think greatest of all time.
Hank Aaron.
Tom Brady.
Babe Ruth. There it is.
Babe Ruth.
There it is. Yeah, it's got to be
Babe Ruth is number 3.
The Sporting
1916 Sporting News.
Okay.
All right.
At this point, yeah. What do you do?
Is it another Mantle?
Baseball?
Number 4. Well, number 4. This speaks to the obscurity of this hobby. Number 4 is Joe Doyle, a T206 Joe Doyle for the set collectors.
Joey D, sure.
Yeah.
Joey D.
Good. He's known for that.
And number 5 is actually not vintage baseball, and Mike's going to be represented well.
Griffey.
Thomas Edward.
Thomas.
There
it is Thomas.
The champ
Edward.
ticket.
Champ ticket.
Okay, can I make a guess? All of those sales were before June of this year.
They were not.
Really? Good. Okay. I was hoping I was wrong.
1, well, but remember, like, this is, it's vintage. The vintage and pre-war stuff is just not really following quite the same trajectory. But the Mantle was in August, the Honus was in September, the Babe was in February, the Joe Doyle was in August, and the Thomas Edward was in June.
That's the same Edward though. What did that sell for, like 800?
It sold for 1.2.
Oh, 1.2. But that was the one that had originally sold like a year and a half ago for like 2, I think, or 2.5 million. That thing took.
Once gone for much more.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still.
Dude,
we obviously have had a correction, and to see cards still selling over $1 million.
His market though is way down. I was negotiating a deal with a guy the other day for an autographed 9510 Bowman Chrome auto. Like obviously it's an in-person auto, but send it back in, authenticated, graded, all that. That card would have been $20,000 a year and a half ago. The Brady I got at the National, I got an 8510 Contenders, $20,000. That card was $50 for a while. By the way, that card has to go to PSA or SGC. I got to switch it over to one.
To be honest, what does that at this point? What does Tom Brady have to do for that value to go up?
Nothing. The market.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think there's anything.
Tragically die would work.
I don't think he could do anything for that value to go
Wouldn't
up.
work for his family as much. I'm saying in the card world, it would work for us. It would not work for people in real
life. Good clarification. I tried to brush over it so you didn't look bad or anything. But that's
I'm not worried about that.
Okay. All right. So obviously we see the market overall being down. The stock market is obviously down. Do you think that's the correlation? If we saw inflation go down, market go up, and interest rates go down?
Yes. Well, just think about the mechanism, right? Like when guys are logging into their brokerage accounts or occasionally looking at their 401ks, which you're not supposed to do. Those are supposed to be long-term, but we know a lot of people do.
Never had one.
The psychology of that is, the S&P 500 is down 6% in the last month. I mean, people's money is vanishing into thin air in the short term right now. That does not create a lot of optimism for other areas. And then you combine that with the high interest rate environment. That's why I think high-end cards are being the most affected right now, because if you have a few $100,000, would you rather put that into a 2-year treasury and lock into a guaranteed 6% annual return over the next 6 months, or would you rather take a gamble on a sports card? I think a lot of people are just seeking the security in the high interest rate environment that you're able to lock into these 5, 6, 7% rates depending upon how long you want to lock in for.
I tell you, the market that is the most interesting to me, despite everything economy, I get that too, and that makes perfect sense. The fact that the football market has been as stale as it's been has been the most surprising to me.